Man, the spawn started today. It started like they started to get on bed today. It's as predictable as it's ever been. We'll explain to you why and talk about what we can expect going forward, how we can catch them. Let's see what else. I gotta check my notes, man. I'm bucking it up already. Can't believe I forgot this. Is this the best era for bass fishing ever? Is it? I think there's an argument to be made that this might be the golden age of bass fishing right now. A lot of people talking about how it used to be this, it used to be that, it was then, it was this time, it was that time. I think it might just be right now. We'll talk about it tonight. And then, of course, with bass fishing, there always comes drama. Why are we always lying about catching a green fish? We're going to call some folks to the carpet tonight and talk towards the end. It should be a good time, man. We got good tunes. We got the brown in the cup. That's just tea. Sometimes it's not just tea, but tonight it's just tea. We'll still hold it up and drink it down. Let's get this music out of here. Bob Seger coming through right there. How about that? Little Waylon and Bob. Sounds like a good start to a campfire, if you ask me. All right, let me get the Facebook going as well. Man, let me know how you guys doing tonight. Drop some comments as you get in here. Appreciate each and every one of you for joining us, as you guys always do. It's going to be a good time, dude. The spawn, so Lake Fork started spawning like today. There was some big ones caught. Just from people that I personally know. Like, I don't know how many big ones were caught across the lake, but people that I personally know, most of y'all, or some of y'all know this. I don't know about most of y'all. Some of y'all know, I don't usually fish on the weekends, right? But there was some really big bass caught today. I know of an 11. That's the biggest one I know of is an 11, which was caught next to a buddy of mine. Buddy of mine was fishing, a guy in another boat next to him, just fishing the same area, caught it. But it's going down in a big way. Like I said, bedfish are being caught today by everybody out there, it seems. So, good times. Get FaceSpace to join us right now, and we'll be rocking and rolling. Caught an 11.02 yesterday. Didn't see any bedfish. We'll talk about why you didn't see them yesterday and why folks did see them today. That's the key thing. What's going on, Facebook in the house? Cheers, y'all. Welcome back to Your Lake Fork Guide. Got another podcast for Facebook. We're live on Facebook. We're live on the GoobTube, the old YouTube. The spawn started today. The moon was last night. Full moon was last night. So we've talked about this at length in the past. I've done a video that we just re-aired. Like, we kind of re-aired and added a little notation to it this year for how you can anticipate spawn cycles to be affected by the moon cycles. And it has a dramatic effect. And this has been a very unique year in that we've been on the edge of spawning, like so close to spawning for so long. I've never seen it be this long. Folks on Facebook, stay tuned, because we're going to debate whether or not this is the best era of bass fishing. Is this like the golden age of bass fishing of all time? We're going to talk about that tonight. And we're also going to talk about why we always lying. We got to get into some drama in bass fishing. Y'all know that. So we're going to talk about why we always lying. Facebook, that's coming later. All right. Long period of pre-spawn where these fish were like the water temps have actually been warm enough. Okay, they've been warm enough for fish to get on a bed for a couple of weeks. Maybe not a couple of weeks, like 10 days. And it's kind of teetered right around that verge. Like, a lot of water temps have been in the upper 50s. But we've had some coves in and out of the lower 60s for 10 days or so at least, right? So we could have had fish spawning for a while temperature-wise in certain areas of the lake. Well, what has happened now is we've continued to get mostly warm weather, other than the last, like, Monday and Tuesday was real cold mornings, cold nights. Other than that, we've had mostly warm weather. So most of the lake, pretty much every pocket on the lake, like the little shallow parts of the pockets, are warm enough for fish to spawn. Most of them are at least 58, 59 degrees, which is warm enough for the first wave of spawners to get in there and get started. So we've created a situation now where it's like these fish, I've been thinking this and talking to other guides about it and such, and I think I mentioned it on here. It felt like the fish were waiting on the moon. Well, boy, did they. Because one of my really, really good friends that I really trust, he's going to tell me the truth. Zach Watts. He caught fish on beds and saw fish spawning in completely different sections of the lake today. So I think what's happening right now, I'm going to go out there tomorrow, and I'm excited about it because I think we're going to have fish spawning basically anywhere you want to go on the lake, you'll be able to find some spawners. Now, with the conditions of the lake, you may not always be able to see them, okay? Depending on the clarity of the water in the pocket you're in, because these fish are not going to spawn right on the bank, guys. I mean, there's going to be a few, but these fish are not going to spawn right on the bank this year because there's no shoreline cover. There's no shoreline vegetation because of the lake falling over the fall and winter time frame. There's no cover right along the bank line. So these fish are going to spawn next to stumps or dock pilings, or they're going to spawn next to something, okay? And the something is dock pilings, brush, and stumps, laydowns. Just hard cover like that that's our only option. So there's going to be times when you're going to get into an area and fish are going to be spawning far enough out to be on a good piece of cover they want to spawn on. You're not going to be able to see them, okay? You're going to be able to use, your scout mode or your panoramic mode, live scope, probably see some fish hanging out real tight to a stump in like 2 or 3 foot of water where you can't see them. That fish is probably spawning, especially if you're looking at them on whatever perspective, panoramic perspective. It's close enough. Perspective mode. And you see a fish that's hanging around a stump and he's really hanging tight, kind of not really leaving that area, the fish is probably spawning on that stump. So not going to maybe be the best sight fishing year from what I've seen leading up to it as far as the visibility of the bass, because I have gone and checked and looked because the temperatures have been okay. So I've gone and checked and looked to see if I can find a few scragglers spawning on some of the tougher days over the last couple of weeks. And I haven't seen any. Now, somebody's probably going to drop in the comments, I caught bedfish out there a month ago. I don't care. Number one, you didn't share it with us. Number two, it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough fish spawning in a significant manner that it was happening where you could go have a day doing it. Like, you may have found a pocket. I don't care. So keep that comment. And well, actually, go ahead and comment it because I appreciate that anyway. But just know that really doesn't matter. So, anyways. The moon was last night. Sure enough, fish started spawning today. And what can happen is normally it takes a few days for females to get in there and lock in with them. But because these fish have been waiting, right? You're going to have this kind of accelerate some of the spawning activity now that the moon is hit and those fish have decided to go ahead, it's time to make a bed. You're going to see fish probably pair up faster. Females show up and lock in faster than what they normally do. And there'll be some that'll still show up 3 to 5 to 6 days later as far as the female. So if you don't know, what usually happens is full moon happens that day after the full moon, which would be today. Males go in there and start making a bed, getting on a bed. Usually it takes, for the majority of the females, it takes like 3 to 6 days, depending on weather and all that stuff. Somewhere in that 3 to 6 day window is when, like 3 to 7 day maybe even, is when the majority of the females actually pair up and lock on and get aggressive and get easier to catch. What I'm saying is start looking tomorrow. Like, this could be going down right now. Now, there will still be plenty of bedfish for you guys come Saturday next week. So don't worry about that. If you know, like, man, we're going to miss this wave. No, you're not. There's all the males, pretty much all the males will still be up there. There'll be maybe a couple that come and go that quick, but usually the males will be up there at least a week. So they'll be up there. There'll be new females that have just paired up towards the end of the week. They're going to be fresh and hot and ready like little Caesars up there. They'll be baking something for you up there on that stump. Here's what I would say, though. If you can't see them, okay, and you feel really good about the area, like you were catching some in pre-spawn in there or something like that, or you got a good report out of that area, somebody caught a lot of fish in there, whatever it is, okay, if you can't see them, don't write it off like, well, they ain't spawning in here or they left this cove. No, they didn't. Pull out a little bit, fish those stumps. Just fish stumps and fish them slow. Fish them with weightless plastics. Fish them with drop shots. Fish them with light Texas rigs. And just go to work on those stumps. Flip both sides of the stump. I mean, really pick them apart. If you caught a lot of fish in there right before the spawn over the last couple of weeks, or you got a good report there was a lot of fish in there, make sure you take your time and fish very slow. Remember, these fish are as stationary right now as they'll ever be. They're sitting on a spot. So you have to be thorough when you're fishing those areas, okay, if you can't see them. Or you can just pick up and run until you get to an area where you can see them. That's always another option, right? So we always got that in our back pocket. But exciting times. It's always exciting. We all get fired up for when the spawn starts every year, right? Do we not? Anybody? Hands up. Like, everybody gets excited for the spawn to start. Whether you're sight fishing for them or fishing other ways, it's a good time. So what you got right now, you got spawning bass. You still have pre-spawn bass. So one thing I did last week, so these ones that were kind of in the backs started getting so shallow, I couldn't scope them. And I was really I didn't want to take the time to learn how to to kind of figure out how to finesse fish for them last week at the end of the week. So towards the end of the week, what I did was I backed out and I actually went to the mouth, like towards the main lake of big creek arms, because what you'll have out there, there's going to be fish that spawn in late April. Well, those fish are still out by the main lake, some of those fish. So I actually went scoping out closer towards the main lake, and it worked much better than I kind of lost my fish midweek. You know, those fish that have been up shallow, I've been catching them. They just been in that mid-depth, 4 to 8 foot or whatever, catching them in spawning areas where they're going to spawn early. Couldn't find them midweek, so I backed out towards the end of the week and found some new fish that were still pre-spawn, and I could catch them on scope out at the mouths of the big creek arms. So if you want to fish for pre-spawners, make sure you're at a major creek out towards the main lake, out at the mouth of it. There'll still be some pre-spawners out there. That's a beautiful thing. We're going to have spawning fish. We're going to have pre-spawn fish. Here in a few more weeks, we'll have all three. We'll have pre, post, and spawning fish all at the same time. So good times. Good times. Have I seen bass fry yet? No, they just started spawning today. Like in a real way, they just started spawning today in a significant way. Speaking of that, my buddy Zach caught an 8-pounder today. That's pretty good fish. While he was in there in that same pocket, somebody scoped an 11-pounder off a stump in that same pocket. 11 pounds. Now, these are just guys out fishing the weekend. Like, you know, Zach's a good fisherman, but like, Zach is a good fisherman. He's fished his whole life. You know, he's 10 years older than me. He's like 52, 53, somewhere in there. And he's fished his whole life, and Zach's a good fisherman, right? He's better than your average fisherman for sure. He's really good. But my point is, these are primarily weekend anglers, and they're just showing up and catching fish like this. And that's just the one guy that I talked to that was out there today. And then we had somebody in the comments, so they caught an 11 yesterday, I think, right? Right in the beginning in YouTube comments. Yep. Shane Benton, congratulations, said he caught an 11.02 yesterday. So my question that I pose is this the greatest era for bass fishing of all time? And the argument for it, I'm not saying it necessarily is. I don't know. I'm just thinking about this today. Like, this is a brand new thought. So we're going to, hold on, folks. Strap your seatbelt in. You're about to sort through my mind. It can be a bumpy ride at times. Just going to let you know. Squirrel. Yeah, there it is. All right. So for your average everyday angler, like for your weekend angler, for most of you guys, right? Most of you guys that own some of you guys own newer boats, some of you guys own old used boats. But man, like so many people now have forward-facing sonar. And even without forward-facing sonar, the fish catches that I'm seeing right now across the state of Texas, it's not just from forward-facing sonar. And not that this channel or this content that we put out here is like the best, because it's not. I don't think it is. But it Fleischer killed me with this comment. It's like, time out. Squirrel, here we go. Chase it. Fleischer, who was in the Navy, by the way, he said, all I got to do is throw crowns in front and I'll focus, because I used to be in the Marine Corps. So that's pretty good. You maybe focus on the crowns, Todd. Good job. Crap, where was I? It's not just forward-facing sonar. The amount of educational and informative content that's out there, not even from me, from guys way better than me. I feel like your average angler is so much more well-informed and is such a better quality fisherman than he used to be. If you talk to some of the old heads around Fork, they'll tell you the pressure we get now is nothing compared to what we got in the 90s. Well, I'd have to see that to believe it, because the boat ramps get pretty full all over the lake at times. But I hear you. There was less boat ramps back then. I hear you, though. Okay, maybe it was. 90% of the folks that were going to Lake Fork in the 90s were throwing an 8-inch curly tail worm or a spinnerbait at every tree they saw. No rhyme or reason. Now, you tell me who's going to catch more and better fish. That, or the guy that's been studying GPS and contour maps all week and reading seasonal reports and watching YouTube videos on techniques and practicing and studying. And like, your average dude today is light years better. Okay, light years better than he was in the 90s, for sure. hands down. So the quality of pressure that not just Lake Fork, but every lake gets is so much more advanced than it was back then. That being said, we're seeing a lot of big fish get caught these days. Guys, like everywhere in Texas, man, like everywhere in the state of Texas, lots of, some little mud hole lakes are kicking out giants. I've heard of 3 or 4 lake records this year alone. Like this year alone, it's March 1st. We're 2 months in. I've heard of like 4 different lake records from the state of Texas. One right down the road at Purchase Creek the other day. Man, I really think we didn't, like that show, The Office, I love that show. I know a lot of y'all do. But towards one of the later series, I think it was the last episode maybe, old Andy Bernard says, I wish there was a way to know you were in the good old days while you were still in them. I think we might all ought to look around, and go, we're in the good old days. Like this is the good old days of bass fishing right now. Yeah, we got the drama on the circuit. The pros aren't making as much money. Listen, that's a whole other topic. We may address that next week because them dudes whining about not making enough money on the pro circuit. Meanwhile, they're not even considering the factor of how spread out the industry is marketing-wise because of social media. That's where the money's gone in pro fishing, by the way. FYI, you want to know where the money went? It went to 15,000 different YouTubers, right? If you're a bait company, and Johnny Hotshot makes the Elite Series and wants you to pay him $20,000, and he's going to give you the exposure he has, which let's just say he's good, right? Say he's really good, and he's got 100,000 total followers on social media. That's way better than most of them. That's way better than most of the guys on the Elite Series, right? So he's got 100,000 followers. He's talking to those people, whatever. You got to pay him $20,000. Or you give a couple $100 worth of free bait, or $1,000. Give $1,000 worth of free bait, okay, to 20 different YouTubers that have 10,000 followers apiece. You just doubled your exposure. And you gave away $20,000 worth of baits instead of paying $20,000 cash plus baits. So you cut your cost. Because you got to give the guy baits to fish with if you're going to pay him to do it. They're going to give that guy at least probably $3,000 or $4,000 worth of baits. That's where the money went in pro. I didn't even mean to get on the subject. Like the sponsor dollars in pro fishing went to small social media guys. These bait companies can spread it out. Some of them will do it for discounts. And they can get more total marketing from a bunch of those guys than they ever could from one big name. Like 10x the exposure when you really break down the numbers. So that's where it went. Anyway, for your average everyday guy, Golden Air, here we are. We're here. Lake records going down 2 a month right now. There's probably more than that. I don't know. But Joe Porter's in here on YouTube just commenting. His son caught a 10-pounder in Edgewood at the City Lake. Like, man, I don't know, man. Y'all tell me what y'all think. From what I see, the number of big old bass being caught by your normal average guy is just through the roof. And kudos to y'all, to us. I mean, I throw myself in there too, but to all of us as a bass fishing community, man, like, we're getting after it, right? Like, hey, all this content's out here to learn from. I'm learning from some of it too. Listen, I've been revitalized in this deal this year with Scope and digging into it. And man, I've been watching some YouTube videos, and you can learn quick. Like, you can learn. I'm pretty handy with that Scope pretty quick. Like, I got pretty advanced pretty fast. And a lot of it is because of how you can view, if you really want to learn, not only can you watch the information that people will talk you through and give you freely, but you can just watch live coverage of the old live coverage. Just go back and watch the replays. I mean, the way I learned to fish the fuzzy ball was watching, Koya Fujita last year on Fork. First thing I watched. I went back, looked at last year's live stream of Fork, all 4 days, and I fast-forwarded. It's like 5 hours of coverage. I fast-forwarded until every time Koya Fujita was on the screen and watched every move he made with that rod. Watch exactly how he twitched and jerked that bait. Then there's other guys that you can find videos of people fishing it on East Texas lakes out there. A couple of them, not much, but there's a couple. And I watched how they worked the bait. And some of it included live scope footage of their screen. I watched how they were working that bait. I watched how they were presenting it to the fish. How far above them did they start twitching it? As soon as they get their attention, they twitch it, or they let it fall a little more. Like all the little details. I watched all that stuff. And man, you can learn quick. Like everything I know about fuzzy ball fishing. I mean, I've learned a little bit on my own, but I haven't been doing it that long. Most of what I learned is from studying online content. Therefore, I say we are better than we've ever been. And fish are getting caught better than they ever have. And I mean, the stuff that we're getting in here is insane. Ronnie Nichols, I caught a 13.2 last Friday on a small lake in Louisiana. It wasn't on a big worm like the license plate I gave you. Oh, the big worm license plate is over there. It's like, well, on Facebook you can see it. It's like right. Man, I'm terrible. Right there. That's it. He caught it on a 5-inch swim bait though. So a 13.2 at a small lake in Louisiana. We're just better. And our outdoors departments have done a phenomenal job. Anybody think share local program doesn't work you out of your damn mind? There was I don't know who remembers this. There was a while when people were trying to like defund the share lunker. Y'all remember that? There was a significant period of time there, like when I first got into guiding and right before that, like there was guys that were anti the share lunker program. If you don't think putting those 13-pound genetics and those fingerlings across the state has made a difference, it's definitely made a difference. Definitely made a difference. So, good times, good times. I'm so excited to go out there this week, man. They're on beds. Before we move on to the next topic, let's go back to sight fishing for a minute. So, sight fishing can be done a multitude of ways. If you follow this channel for years, you've heard me say this probably every year, but I like to have control over my bait. When I'm looking at one on the bed, I only throw one thing. I throw a Texas rig. It's either 3/8 or ½ ounce, depending on how far I need to stay away from the fish. The further I need to stay away from the fish, the heavier the bait gets. I can pitch it further with control, the heavier that weight is. Okay, so it's 3/8 or ½ ounce, and I'll try to stay as far away from the fish as I can. But the bait that I use, I'm not going to get into all the stuff because I could go on and on and make a whole video about sight fishing. I have made whole videos about sight fishing and how to do it. But the rig that I'm using, just so you guys know, I'm using 3/8 or ½ ounce, and if I need to be further away, I'll use half. Okay, I put a bobber stop above the weight. I put a red bead below the weight, and I tie on a 4/0 straight shank hook, flipping hook. Now, that bobber stop's above the weight, but I leave about a 1/4 inch room between the weight and the bobber stop. That way, when I'm shaking the bait, that weight has a little room, just a little bit of room to shake up and down so it hits that bead and goes tick, 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 tick. So when the bait's on the bed, I shake it, it goes tick, 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 makes a little noise. But the red bead is like the real deal. Like it's very, 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 very effective to have the red bead on there versus not. It will chafe your line. You do have to retie all the time. After every big fish, you want to retie. After every 2 or 3 regular fish, you want to retie with a bead on there. Especially when you're shaking it that much. If you have a hard hook set and miss, a lot of times that'll chafe your line. You need to retie right then. The baits that I use, I'm not real particular on the bait. Best weight for that is a tungsten. Yeah, it's tungsten. The 3/8 or ½ ounce weight is always a tungsten for profile. I want to keep it down to small size. And the noise. The noise is better with that denser metal. The noise on that bead is better with the tungsten. The baits that I use can be a variety of baits, but they need to have a couple things in common. They need to be short and compact. They need to barely fit on that 4/0 hook, right? That's what I want. And I want it to have thin appendages because thin appendages move easily with very little water pressure. So any little vibration I give that bait, those little arms are going to quiver and do some dirty work in that bed for me. So like the Stroker Crawl from 6th Sense is one that I like a lot. I've used that a bunch. A lot of crawl baits are good, but don't get the arms too thick. If you get the arms too thick, they won't really have the quiver in action. They'll be more of a long flap in action. You got to shake them harder to do that. The whole thing is I want a rig that I can put in there and shake in place if possible. I want to be able to vibrate that bait without moving it forward. Because when you get your line tight and you start shaking it, it's going to want to hop forward on you. So I want to get that bait in the bed and vibrate it and have those little skinny appendages on the arm go and flutter around while the bait's not really moving forward at all. So that's the rig. Do it on 17. On fork, I do 20. You can get away with 17-pound fluorocarbon for the most part. Like a 7.2 medium heavy rod's what I do it on, and a high-speed gear ratio reel like 7.5 to 1. So that's the setup for sight fishing. Michael McDaniel said, I only watch old school fishing. You're going to get bored around here at Top School. We fix me old school fishing. Sight fishing is old school. That counts as old school, right? I mean, but I will be using scope. In fact, I've got a in-depth how-to live scope video coming out this week. So yeah, that may disappoint you. But all right. Last topic, certainly not least, man. Let's get into some drama, because how can you avoid it in bass fishing? I don't know. You just can't really avoid it in bass fishing. The drama is always present, it seems. So, that being said, why do so many people in today's world insist on lying in bass fishing? Like, don't you know you're exposed now? Like, don't you know? Don't you know? I'll tell you what made me think of this. And this could have just been an editing boo-boo. So I will. So this is a Ben Milliken video, and this very well might have just been an editing boo-boo. And that's fine. Ben did a video on fork that came out. I watched it last night. Last night's when I watched it. I don't know. It may have came out a week ago or whatever, but it's recent. It's recent. I can tell by looking at it, it's recent. But yeah. So he's in a certain creek, and he's catching a few fish, but they're smaller than what he wants. And then he eases back further back in that creek. And, you know, me being a guide there, like, sometimes I don't know exactly where somebody's sitting. Usually, wherever somebody's sitting, like, not that I'm trying to hole jump them, but I'll just immediately recognize it because I've been all over that lake so many times. But he moved further back in that creek and caught a few better size fish. And he even said he just moved further back in the creek. He said that in the video. And then he says that he's going to go back into Little Caney. And he's going to try and catch some bigger fish. There's more pressure there. It was kind of a confusing discussion because he's like, I feel like the only way I can really catch better fish is if I get where they're not as pressured, but I'm going to go to Little Caney where they're pressured. He's like, but I'm going to try some out of the way places. We'll circle back to that here in a minute because that's a lie. That's a lie. What he did, that's a lie right there. But him saying he was going to Little Caney was a lie because the next scene, he's still in the back of the same creek. He said he was going to Little Caney in a video. Now, the only reason this like caught my attention and like seemed like somewhat of a big deal to me is like, it's not beyond fishermen to just lie about that to try and keep people out of a certain creek. And I'm not even going to say the creek he was in to begin with because it's not on me to blow up his area. Like, hey, I've been fishing in there a bunch myself lately, but like, it's not on me to blow up his area, right? Like, I'm not trying to do that, but like, if you say you're going to go to Little Caney, but then you're in the back of the creek, now I think you're just, if I know, like I know where you are, you're just misleading the whole public to go to Little Caney when you're really catching them a third of the lake away from there. Like, why are you doing that? And in today's world where everything's so exposed, like, I'm not the only one that knows you just lied to everybody. Now, I say it could have been edited. That could have been an honest mistake on Ben's part because I'm sure, like, Ben probably has somebody else editing his video. I know he had Cole working for him back in the day. He didn't have a cameraman in the boat on this day, so I don't know if Ben edited this video himself or if he still has an editor working full-time for him. I don't know. But he did end up in Little Caney by the end of the video, and he caught a couple in Little Caney by the end of the video, okay? In fact, he caught a 10-pounder in Little Caney at the end of the video. But he whacked a few good ones. Like, he stuck a few nice ones still in the back of that same creek after he said he was going to Little Caney. Why did he choose to put that part of the video in there right when he whacks them? That makes it look like he's trying to intentionally mislead you. Which, by the way, I totally disagree with how the state has handled his situation with the non-fishing license and tournament entry. Like, they made that such a big deal when it was just a boo-boo. It was just an accident. And, you know, I know guys that have done it. When you fish every day, that deadline, it slips your mind. Now, it slipped his mind by 3 or 4 months or whatever it was, which is bad. But it was a boo-boo. And he went out and bought the license. It wasn't like he was trying to get away with something, right? He just made a mistake. he turned to fishing the ShareLunker when he didn't have a license, folks, and then he bought it the next day. That's what happened. When they tried to charge him with tournament fraud, because in the ShareLunker program, you get entered into a raffle where you can win stuff if you enter a fish in the ShareLunker. Not even really a tournament. Like, none of us consider that a tournament, right? None of us bass fishing guys really think that's a tournament. So the way that they handle but him doing things like this in a video makes me think that he knew he didn't have a license when he turned that fish in, and he knew he shouldn't have turned it in, but he wanted to shine. He wanted the credit for turning the fish in and wanted the publicity that brings, so he tried to get away with something. Like, it just makes you think, well, this guy's open to lie to me and to deceive me. Like, he's willing to do that. Like, the integrity has a little bit of chink in the armor, right? Like, this could have been an honest mistake. It could have been. The way that it edited, it could have just, that clip could have been put into the wrong place in the video. That can happen. I understand. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good, especially not with that deal in your past. It looks like you're willing to mislead the public. And in this sport, with a history of people lying, like it's called a fisherman's tale for a reason, right? Like, it's part of the bass fishing culture to lie about how you caught them or what you caught them or how big it was and all that, like. And when your career, granted, Ben has proven himself to be very legit, obviously qualified for the Elite Series, qualified for a couple classics, like, dude's done it at the highest level. So not knocking him for being, like, not a great fisherman. But when Ben's real career is built on attention on social media, and then you start seeing a few things that are getting fabricated and they're deceptive and they're misleading, it just, like, how much of it's BS with him? How much? Do we know? Do we know? I don't know. I don't know. And I know him personally, and I don't know. Or say I knew him personally for a while. I haven't spoken to him in years, but like, I've been in a boat with him. And I like him. But it's not a good look, man. It's not a good look. And then, right before I came out here, lo and behold, I was going to have this discussion anyway, but Josh Jones posted a video showing people how people can cheat on a Bubba scale and make you think a fish is bigger than what it is. You can preset it to 0 with weight already on it, and then you get that extra weight onto your fish. So now you hang a fish off there and it says 13. Really, that fish weighed 9. Or it says 10, and really that fish weighed 8. Why do we do this, man? Like, I don't know. Listen, I've gotten wrapped up in it at times myself, right? Like I've told this story before, but when I first started guiding part-time, I just started, like, within the first couple weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. I had a guy fish with me for a day and a half. Fished me for a full day, then he fished with me for a half day. I couldn't fish a full day on that Sunday. So fished a half day that Sunday morning. We get out of my boat. I tie some baits on for him because he's going back out in his boat that afternoon, like, for the rest of the day. I give him those baits. I say, hey, this is what I would do. And I say, I would go, we had been fishing a pond dam, and I had a, like, big one, looked over 10, follow a glide bait to the boat, like, right up to the boat. Like, she was right there. We saw her real good. And I said, if it was me, I'd go right back to that pond dam, and I'd fish for that fish. I'd sit there and pound that area. I tied on a big Senko, oversized Senko for him, and I said I would just milk this Senko all around that corner of that pond dam where she showed up to see if you can catch her. Keep in mind, this wait for scope and all that, you can't go looking for her. So he goes out there, and lo and behold, they catch that fish. I think I don't know if he caught it or he caught it, not his son. Tim and his son, but the man caught it. I haven't even gotten home yet. I live 30 minutes from the lake. I'm not even home. He's caught this fish. He's texting me pictures. And I'm like, dude, that's so awesome. Dude, would you mind if I posted that on my social media? He's like, no, man, I wouldn't have caught her without you. Cool. So I call a guide buddy of mine that had been around the block. He was a big name guide around the lake at that time, and he'd been there, done that a little bit. He'd grown a guide business. So I call him. I said, hey, how do I handle this? Like, how do I post this? How do I word this? He's like, man, just say you went out with them in their boat to set their electronics up or something. Say you were in the boat. So I took that advice. Said, okay, sounds good to me. I lied. Guess what? There was another guy that was a veteran guide on Lake Fork that was in that pocket when that guy caught that fish, and he called me out on it online, and I got embarrassed. I got embarrassed and got a stain on my name right there. Within the first month of me guiding, right away. And that's as innocent as it was. It wasn't right. It wasn't right. It's easy to get. There's such a culture of it in this sport. It's almost impossible to not get caught up in it to some level at some point, right? But man, the lying and deceiving is just out of control, man. It's out of control. Like, I'll tell you this, if I ever tell you a creek name that I'm in, it'll be the creek I'm in. If I tell you I'm going to a creek, I'm going to that creek. Like, I'm not going to put that and try to intentionally mislead you guys to think that I caught them in a different creek. Like, you understand why that bothers me, right? I mean, somebody tell me if I'm just making a mountain out of a molehill, but it bothers me because he intentionally went out of his way, like what it seems like. It could have been a mistake. I'm sure if I asked him, he would say it was. But what it looks like, and I know this world and I know these people, and I know how they operate on trying to protect certain areas. It looks like he went back there, caught a couple decent ones, then he caught a few more like good ones, and like there was kind of a little bit of a juice stretch. And so it looks like he inserted a clip into a part of that right before he caught the best ones to make people think it was in a different creek. Because if you don't know Lake Fork, you now think that Ben caught everything he said after he went to Little Caney. You think he caught all those solid fish and that 10-pounder in Little Caney. That's what you think. Okay. Let's talk about the comment he made about he was going to fish non-pressured fish. And then it would be okay if he said that and then came back later and was like, nah, these are pressured right here. I just got lucky and got a big one to bite. Guys, the 10-pounder that he caught was on the side of the point of the island where Lee caught 42 pounds in 22 or whatever, 21. Since 2021, that island point and all around it has been hammered with boats, maybe more than anywhere on that lake because it was so identifiable. He literally was on the side of that island point when he caught that 10-pounder. As pressured of an area as you can be in on the whole lake of Lake Fork, as much pressure as it gets, that is the most pressure area you could be in. I mean, there's been boats on it here lately. Like, it's not like, well, they haven't been pressured right now. Yeah, they have. Yeah, they definitely have, and he knows that. Like, that's not something he doesn't know. And he didn't come back and say, I said I needed to get away from the pressured fish, but this one lives right where they get the most pressure, and I ended up catching it. I guess I got lucky. Like, we can't make that comment? No, we got to look like we know what we're doing. Got to look like we know what we're doing, and we're doing something different than everybody else. Make us special. Get those clicks, baby. Lots of BS in this industry. Lots of it. It's impossible. If you're not out there living in it all the time, it's impossible to see through it. Roth says he literally Google Earthed it and found out Ben was BSing since he found the red dot. And I've already discussed this, but Roth, if you just joined us, yeah, it's worse than that. He was already in that creek when he said that. Like the same creek he was fishing after that, he was in there when he said he was leaving. He didn't, like, what I'm telling you is he didn't go 100 yards from where he said he was leaving. So what happened was he made that clip afterwards and then inserted it there to make everybody think he went somewhere else because he didn't want anybody getting on that juice stretch right there. Except for him and whichever one of his buddies that kisses his butt enough that he wants to give the info to. That's a real part. You want to talk about a real part of the industry, like a real, like, actually valuable part of the industry is kissing the right people's butts so that they might give you some fishing intel. That actually has value to it. Like, you will become a better angler if you just kiss everybody's butt. I know guides on Lake Fork that, like, their whole, how do I say this? Their whole game plan for success is to be nice to the right people to get info. And I'm sure over time they learn enough they can figure it out on their own. But like at one point, it must have been a situation where like you didn't have the confidence to figure it out on your own. So you just got to make sure you kiss the right guy's butt so you get the info. Like there are guides out there that is their game plan. And there's some big names that's their game plan. I mean, I've heard the conversations of Hey, that young guy, he's really good. Let's go. Let's bring him into our circle. I've heard those conversations. I've been part of those conversations. Listen, I can honestly say I was never a part of those conversations where I was like, yeah, let's go get this guy. He can help us. That was never me. That was never me. I was always of the mind, like I've shared more openly with everybody than anybody else I know in this business. Anybody else I know in this business. Even other guys. Like I just, diary of the mouth tell them, right? Obviously, I share a lot of real info on here to the point where I get chastised for it in the industry and things like that. Like I've got some guys right now that are boiling over me putting out that video this week on the fuzzy ball, on the woolly booger. Like there's guys that are mad at me for that. Right? They're not going to talk to me for a while, if ever again, and that's okay. It's okay because none of them told me anything about that technique. My rule is if you tell me something, like if you give me some help on an area or you give me some help on a technique, I ain't saying nothing until you want it to come out. If you want it to come out, then we can blast it out. If you don't want it being talked about, I ain't talking. If you're not talking about it, I'm not talking about it. If you tell me. Now, if I find it on my own or I figure it out on my own, that's up to me when I expose it. That's my decision. So. He did catch, yes, he caught the double digit in Little Caney. He caught it off the same island point where Lee caught 42 pounds. Got a comment on Facebook talking about Ben saying he's moving up north and not fishing any major circuits. Makes no sense to do what he's doing. It does. It does. Listen, it feels like I've been ragging on Ben. I'm not meaning to rag on Ben. It's all over, like little stuff like that's all over the industry. And like I said, that literally, honestly, could have been an editing mistake where the clip talking about going to Little Caney got accidentally put in the wrong place. It could have been that. It looks bad. It looks like he's trying to deceive. It may not have been meant that way, but I know guys in this industry that would do things like that. Like they would try to deceive you like that to keep somebody, to keep you from knowing what stretch they were on. They would go that extra step to try and do that. That's why I was discussing it. But as far as Ben moving up north, it's not my place to say anything about him. I do know, I've known him personally in the past. He's from that area up there where he's moving to, pretty close to there. He has some family ties to there. And that's all I want to say about that because the rest of it is Ben's business to expose or not expose. And nothing bad, guys. I just, like, Ben has familial ties to that area. He's done really, really well for himself. He has worked, I will say, he has worked his face off. Like, the amount of video content that man has put out for so many years, I don't know how he's not burnt. And he may just be burnt out and want to take a little break, and that's fine. Like, I don't know how he's not completely burnt out, but I bet you'll see him whacking some big smallmouth, and I know he likes doing that. You can tell he really enjoys that smallmouth deal. He may have just, listen, he had his 5-year run here in Texas or whatever it was, living here 4 or 5 years. I think he's been living here. He lived here. He's caught a ton of giant bass. There's no doubt about that. He may just want to go chase the brown ones for a little while, and he may have some family stuff going on up there that nobody knows about him, me included. I know he's got family up there, so that's on him. That's his, he's got to make decisions that are right for his family. He can still make really good content, catch a smallmouth. Like it may not be our deal down here in Texas. We may not watch it anymore as much, right? Because we ain't catching no big giant smallmouth. A few, we got a few smallmouth lakes, but not like that, right? So it's a different style of fishing than what we do. We may not watch it as much, but unless you're just a big Ben Milliken fan of him personally, the fishing may not appeal as much, but man, if that's what he needs to do for his family, more power to him. And I'll tell you this, he's financially secure. He's built a really good business for himself. He's got, stake in 6 cents from what I understand. So that company is doing fantastic. They are arguably the biggest fishing company in the world now, or one of. They're up there. They're up there. Like, they're turning over some big revenues over there. So, he's in a good spot financially to make a move like that and kind of change where he's living and all that stuff. Michael McDaniel. I miss the days before the internet. Now, come on now. Hold on. Yeah, there's good and bad to everything. There's some bad to the internet. There ain't no doubt about it. But you miss the days of 15 pounds to win tournaments versus 30 pounds on the same lakes, because that's what it was. We are all better as fishermen because of the internet and all the different things that are out there. Like your average tournament bag was like half of what it is now. And that includes you, sir, no matter how much you want to tell me it doesn't. Everybody. That includes everybody. I'd rather catch them like we catch them now. Myself. I want to catch some big ones. I want to catch 5 big ones a day. That's what I want to do. So, yeah. Larry Moss said that was a stupid thing to say. You could have expressed this experience truthfully. As I listen to you to continue to talk, I wouldn't trust you. I don't even know what the stupid thing to say was. What did I say that was a stupid thing to say? Cool. Smash Tech. Andy Alphabet, who likes to throw the big baits. I do know that about Andy Alphabet. And I call him Andy Alphabet because he's got like most of the alphabet in his last name. It's a crazy last name. Almost time to break out the Smash Tech Convict umbrella rig. I know. What are you using for a wire on that? Coat hangers? Like, I actually tried to make, so that's funny that you bring that up. Me and Chris Blackman, the guy that used to do this Sunday night podcast with me years ago, we tried to make a three-armed umbrella rig for convicts, for Smash Tech Convict. Smash Tech Convict, if you folks don't know, I haven't heard talk about much lately. It was like a big weedless swim bait, which we should have been doing line throughs. We were dumb to do that one. We should have been doing line throughs, but we were in love with the convict at the time. We were catching a lot of big fish on it, and we tried to make an Alabama rig for Smash Tech Convicts, 3 of them, for a three-armed Alabama rig. We used coat hanger wire that we've been around with pliers and all that, and we used JB Weld to put the head together and have just a little coat hanger eye sticking out. We made one. We made a few one night here in this garage, right over there. And I went out and threw them, and I didn't have a rod I could throw it on. Like, it was so ridiculous. Trying to throw that thing on the biggest swim bait rod I had was the stupidest thing I probably ever done in bass fishing. It was so dumb. Poor David Garvey says he's here in Jersey with frozen lakes still. Yeah. No, they started spawning today in a major way here. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. Why were the fish spawning today and not yesterday? The full moon was last night, which cued them to start bedding. Yeah, I took 30 pounds to win the media tournament on Richland Chambers yesterday. Yeah, that's a lake. That's a lake that has been won with 15. And Richland Chambers has always had some big ones. Who was it they caught? Was it Mark Menendez caught like one of the biggest bass in BASS history on Richland Chambers or something like that? But, man, that was a lake that used to, like 15 pounds could win a tournament out there. And now it's 30 at a media tournament. Media was probably 50, 60 boats at most, I would think. Maybe 70. I don't know. Probably, I don't know. I don't know what media is drawing these days. I don't think they draw much more than 50, if that, honestly. I apologize to media if I'm wrong. I don't mean to bash them at all. I'm not trying to say anything bad. Chris Bedell says he's been fishing fork every day since Friday and haven't caught much. A 3-pound, a 4-pound, some dinks. Water's dirty, totally different than the Ozarks. Yeah. Yeah, if you're from the Ozarks, yeah, that's tough. That's a tough trip. Like, I would struggle if I went to the Ozarks. Like, if I went to true Highland reservoirs, I would struggle. Like, it's a different deal, man. It's a different deal. Yeah. And honestly, you saying the water's dirty, like, the water's about as clean here as it gets this time of year because we haven't had any rain, really. I mean, we don't have the grass. The grass filters it out sometimes a little better, but We don't have the grass this year because of the lake being low and some different things, but like overall, the water clarity is pretty darn good for us. Like, believe it or not, it's pretty clean for us. So, where's the juice? So, I don't know what to tell you about where the juice is. I mean, it's Lake Fork is not a lake where I can be like, you need to go to Glade Creek. I mean, Glade Creek's a great creek. It's great this time of year, but man, there's a dozen other creek arms that are the same. Like they fish just as good. So, the whole lake fishes similar. Some subtle differences a little bit here and there. For the most part, it fishes similar. What I will tell you is getting away from like the massive amounts of pressure can be a big deal on Fork. This time of year when fish are pulling up all over the lake, sometimes fish in the place that isn't real popular is the deal. Because there is fish, one in the Lake Fork to the other. Like there's quality fish all over the lake. Some areas do hold them better than others and they get more pressure. But when they're all pulling up, like when a lot of them are pulling up all over the lake like they are right now, just going to some kind of nondescript looking place that doesn't have any boats in it can pay off. It can pay off in a big way. As far as what to catch them on right now, I would highly suggest fishing slow. So with them starting to spawn like they did today, weightless plastics, light Texas rigs are going to be the main thing I would focus on. If you've got scope, you can scope, but you got to be, a little bit handy with that. And you're going to want to be out a little bit. Like they're going to be shallow, so you got to be able to use scope in like 3 foot of water. Like it's not easy to scope them when they get that shallow. It takes a little different skill set. So. What's my PB out of Fork? My PB is an 11. Now, I have 3 customer fish over 12. My PB is an 11. It was caught on a video. So the only time that I really fish for me to try and catch, like where I'm trying to be the one that catches the big one, is on filming days. And even some of those, I try to help other people first, but depending on the situation. But the day I caught the 11, it was me and Cody Mays. And I straight up told her that morning, I was like, dude, hope you can catch them behind me. Hey, Cody's cool, though. He doesn't mind that at all. And he did catch some behind me, but I caught an 11 off a bed. I actually caught it sight fishing off a bed that day. So it's like bounced back and forth to like 11-1 and 11. So we just caught 11 even. And that's my personal biggest out of Fork. That's crazy. It took 30 pounds to win at Richland Chambers. I mean, it's just, that's what I say, dude. Like, this is, to me, go back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, we're kind of in the golden era of bass fishing right now. Like, when a bunch of, mostly weekend anglers show up for a media event on Richland Chambers, which, on the list of top bass fishing lakes in this area, it ain't in the top half. Like, it ain't. And it takes 30 pounds. Like, they're catching big ones every like, people are catching big fish everywhere in this state right now. Lots of people. I think there's more people. More people catching fish over 7 pounds, over 6 pounds, over 8 pounds than has ever been the case in the history of this sport. Ross says my active target sucks in scout mode, so not too good in shallow. I don't even put it in scout mode. I actually scope in 2. I can't really go less than 2, but I really need 3. Man, can't go less than 2 for sure, but I will actually scope in 3 foot of water, 2 foot of water at times on regular vertical active target 2 mode. Should be great weather for the Lake Fork Lure Tournament this next weekend. Yeah. Lake Fork Trophy Lures has a tournament going on this next weekend. Big Bass Hourly deal. You got to use their stuff, like a Lake Fork Trophy Lure. Impact Lure is like one of they have Impact Lures under their umbrella now. So that Impact Shad's going to be a player in that. Of course, Chatterbaits are going to be a player with Live Magic Shad on the back, because you can use a chatterbait, whatever chatterbait you want, with a Live Magic Shad on the back. But yeah, a lot of their plastics are going to come in handy this week with all the fish starting to spawn. And there's going to be a lot of fish on beds this next weekend. A lot. There's going to be a bunch. Might be some fish starting to bite the old top waters. I got a little secret trick I'm going to put in play this week and see if it works. I've been thinking about it. It's a fuzzy ball trick, a woolly booger trick, but it's the little woolly booger. I've been waiting on this. I've been waiting on these fish to get on beds and to get really tight to the bank in a big way with numbers of them. and I'm gonna try a little trick with the smaller version of the old woolly booger and see if it works. It's not gonna be scope; it's gonna be non-scoping. So it'll be using that bait without scope, which I haven't seen anybody doing that yet. So we'll see if it works. Roth said, "My plan is to fish where the tournament is releasing their fish. The old retread hole. Retread hole is undefeated, man. It works every time." I think Seth Fighter won an Angler of the Year on that strategy. I think like the rumor was like he was fishing around, like there was just like almost all the tournaments he was fishing near weigh-in, like, and he was finishing real high in every turn. Obviously finishing high a lot, winning Angler of the Year. But that was kind of the running joke was he won the Angler of the Year off the retread hole, off the weigh-in fish, which is freaking hilarious if you ask me. So, good stuff. Good stuff. Timothy Stevens said, "I watched you guide a youngster in Long Branch a while back. Caught a DD. Don't recall what it weighed. I don't remember. I've been doing this too long, I guess, because I don't particularly remember that one. I remember one a long time ago that was on. We happened to have GoPros. I don't normally have GoPros rolling on guide trips. We did the day I had a 13-year-old catch a 12-pounder, but that was in Glade. Which is close to Long Branch, but it wasn't in Long Branch. I remember that one because it was on video and it got shared by some big website. Well, I can't remember which. One of the big fishing websites shared it, and it got just a ton of views. I remember that. And also, 13-year-old catching 12-pounder was just like super special. Like that was and him and his dad were loving on each other afterwards. Man, that was like my favorite guide memory. Probably was that one right there. But I don't. The Long Branch one. I've caught some big ones out of Long Branch. I remember some that were really close to double digit. I feel like we have caught some 10s out of Long Branch. We have. We definitely have. But I don't remember a young one catching one in there. But that could be my memory failing me. We've been fortunate to see a lot of big fish over the years. That was the one is in Glade. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. There was a lot of people around us like this. It was crowded in there that day, dude. Like it was, and it had been more crowded that morning. It was a little less crowded when we caught that big one. We'd been in there for a while. That was a cool catch. The red skeeter boat. Yeah, that's been a while ago, man. That's been like, I don't know, that was pre-COVID. It was 2018, 19, somewhere in there. That was pre-COVID. So that kid is now in college, maybe? That kid might be in college now. Yeah. And doesn't fish. He doesn't fish anymore. It like ruined it, dude. Like he caught that 12-pounder and then he like fished hard for a little while, a year or two after that, and caught some other good fish, but nothing close to that, and then he just quit fishing. His dad still fishes. I still talk to his dad every once in a while. But yeah. Yep. That was pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Yeah, he had his mind blown that day, that's for sure. When your PB goes from 4 pounds to 12 pounds, it has a shocking effect, I guess. Will the spawn be over when MLF comes to Texas? I don't know when they're coming to Texas. Let me know when they're coming, and I'll answer that. I'll tell you, the spawn will not be over until early May, depending on weather. I mean, you're still gonna have some fish spawning in early May. As far as like significant, where you'll see tournament guys really take advantage of it. I mean, through the end of April, those guys will be catching some betters, especially with their limitations on live scope. They'll be catching some betters through the end of April, no matter where they are in Texas. Let's start like Falcon or something. I don't even know where they're going. Where are they going? They're not going to Falcon, are they? They're going to like Choke Canyon or Falcon or something, then it may be over by then. That's a different deal down there. Where did the brush go? Ron Casson, where did the brush go in front of Stroman's boathouse? Man, you know how that is, Ron. Like brush just breaks down, if you're not keeping it fresh, not dry, it breaks down over time. Brush piles kind of just fall apart over time on you. So I don't know what kind of brush he had in there, but I haven't fished there in a while, but if it's gone, that's just happens. No water in Choke. I didn't know that. They're going to OH Ivy. OH Ivy is far enough north. They'll still have fish spawning in April. I don't know when they're going, though. When are they going? If they're going in March or April, they'll be fish spawning. Now, that's not necessarily a good thing at OH Ivy. Okay, like depending on the water levels at OH Ivy, those fish can get up in some flooded junk where you can't really access them. They're at Whitney on Thursday and Friday, then Waco Saturday, Sunday. Oh, this week. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's going to be fish spawning. Yeah, there'll be fish spawning for sure. No doubt. Why are they going to Lake Waco? Lake Waco might be the worst lake in the state of Texas. It's terrible. Are they just trying? See, this is some stuff too, man. Like, why do you do, like, Bassmaster did this back in the day where they had a classic in Philadelphia, basically for Iaconelli, or a tournament, an Elite Series tournament in Philadelphia, and they basically did that for Iaconelli. And now Alton Jones is retiring. This is his swan song season or whatever you want to call it. And they're going to Lake Whitney and Lake Waco, where he's from. What are we doing? His kid's going to beat him anyway. But, like, what are we doing? Like, at that level, you should not be doing those types of things. But Alton is one of the good old boys. He's boys with Boyd. He's one of Boyd's boys. That's always been an issue on that trail. I don't watch them, dude. Like, listen, I think the world of Jacob Wheeler. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. And, I can text him right now and he'll answer. Like, he's a good dude. And, Connell's amazing. I love MDJ. He's one of my favorite guys to watch. Man, I just can't with that circuit and the way it's run, dude. Like, it's just the good old boys. And, no, I'm out. Like, not my deal, man. Not my deal, I mean, Whitney's got some good fish in it. Whitney will be okay. But Waco, like, maybe they'll prove me wrong. I hope maybe something's happened out there and Waco's, like, turned into a little secret spot that nobody talks about that's fixing to get exposed. But from my understanding, Waco is, like, one of the worst lakes in the state. Like, it's terrible fishing out there. So that'll be interesting. I may have to check. I'll at least check the results on that one and see what they did in Waco. That'll be interesting for sure. Maybe I'll catch a bunch of little ones. That total weight deal won't look so bad. What's the next Bassmaster tournament? The Classic, I guess. Classic's the next Bassmaster tournament, I think. On another. So probably I'll save this topic for next week, but we'll give you a little. We're almost done here, so we'll give you a little bit of it here. Is this the worst schedule? Like, in my adult viewing time of watching the Elite Series, just so y'all know, I got out of the Marine Corps in 2009. That's kind of like 2010, 11. That's when I started really paying a lot of attention to the Bassmaster Elite Series again. I watched it a lot as a kid, and then I watched it a lot from like 2010 on. So in that time frame, this is my least favorite schedule Bassmaster's ever had. What is this schedule? Number one, they don't come to Texas at all, and I'm biased, so that hurts them on my totem pole for sure that they're not in Texas at all on the Elite Series this year. But, like, what are all these river fisheries? Are they just catering that hard to the veterans, trying to make them feel better, like trying every way they can to go to places where scope won't have as much of an effect? Is that what they're doing? Like, I don't know, man. Like, this schedule, like, I want to see big ones get caught, man. Like, I want to see what happened on Rayburn in that Open. I want to see the Elite Series doing that. I want to see Fork from last year, and every time they've come to Fork when they're catching 120 pounds or whatever it is, like, I want to see that. I want to see that. I don't want to see Tom, like, what? Tom Bigby, what is this? I don't even know what that is, man. And this Classic, they do the Classic in Nashville or whatever, Tennessee River, it's Loudon, Tellico, like, they get big crowds there, and that's part of the Classic. I get it, but, like, I've thought for a while Bassmaster, in my opinion, is missing the boat by worrying about their in-person audience when their online audience is so much bigger. I don't care how many people you draw in Nashville for the Classic. The amount of people watching it online is going to be 10x or more, right? Like, I don't know, man. It just, you're sacrificing the viewing product where your biggest audience is to have a better event with your in-person audience. Because there's no doubt more people would watch the Classic if it was on Guntersville or Rayburn or Fork. And I know there's logistics. Like you got to have, their convention or whatever they call it, they got to have all their room for all that. They got to have an event center for their weigh-ins. I get it. I know there's all that. But like, you can do Fork and do everything in Frisco. That's closer than Grand Lake and Tulsa. We've done it at Grand Lake. Like they could do one at Fork. I mean, Rayburn's a little far. Rayburn's a little far from anything in Houston. I mean, they did it at Conroe. So Conroe to the Minute Maid Park deal, the Astros Stadium, that's not as far miles-wise, but I guarantee you that drive takes – I grew up there. Like, I grew up in Conroe, like in Montgomery County, Texas. My mom lived in Spring. My dad lived in Willis. Like, I know that area, right? It takes you longer to get from Lake Conroe to Minute Maid Park than it does to get from Lake Fork to any event center you could use in Frisco, which there's plenty of over there now. Plenty. I mean, hell, they got a baseball stadium there that could seat. I've been to a Classic. I've seen how many people are actually in those stadiums. Like the one at Roberts, they ain't filling up the whole stadium. It's not what happens. It's not what you might think if you haven't been there. March 26th to 29th on Ivy and Brownwood. Definitely be spawners there. Not necessarily a good thing that they're going to be spawning on Ivy, okay? Now, there'll be plenty out. There'll be some post-spawn fish by then, too. So, all three phases will be going on in Ivy and Brownwood March 26th to 29th. So, the problem on Ivy is when they spawn, they can get back in some junk where you can't really get to them. Or if you are getting to them, you can't get to enough of them for their format to be effective, so you don't do it. Right? Like you try to get back there in all them bushes and you just have to go too slow. It just takes too long to navigate through all that heavy stuff, and tearing your boat up, which, I mean, a lot of those guys are okay with, but got some people saying you think the Bassmaster goes to who pays them the most. I don't think that Tom Bigby, whatever, their Chamber of Commerce is going to pay you any more than Wood County for Lake Fork or Guntersville or any of those places. Like they're not paying that much more, I don't think. I mean, and really at the end of the day, if you're Bassmaster, that's dumb too, because you get a one-time payment from some Chamber of Commerce, or you get to build your entire brand and product better by having better fishing tournaments. Which one holds more value? 6 or 7? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, if I was running Bassmaster, which I know what a joke that is. Believe me, I know. But if I was running Bassmaster, I know what a joke that is. I would want the product, the viewing product, the online product, right, to be the focus. That's where the bulk of your eyeballs are. And look, at the end of the day, this is a marketing game. Like, for all of us in this industry, like how we make money is eyeball time. Whether it's to book guide trips, whether it's to sell merchandise, whether it's to get sponsored deals from all different companies, is eyeball time is the deal, man. That is the deal. Therefore, that should be the priority if you want the business to thrive. Not which Chamber of Commerce pays me more, not these older guys are getting mad because these young dudes are whipping them on these lakes. Like, so let's go to some rivers where live scope won't work as good. Like, whatever it is that motivated them for the schedule. It's my least favorite they've ever had since I've really, over the last 15, 16 years that I've really been watching every single tournament that they've had. What does the future of bass fishing with AI look like? With AI, I don't know. Obviously AI can't catch the fish for you. At the end of the day, Not too much, because at the end of the day, you still have to make the decision and execute and get the fish on the hook and land it and all that. Like, there's still some skill and, especially decision making. Like, AI can maybe suggest things based on conditions and stuff, but at the end of the day, AI hadn't seen where all them fish were staged up pre-spawning and know where the pockets they're going to spawn in tomorrow are. Like, there ain't no way for AI to know that. They just ain't. Did I ever play baseball? Yeah, I mean, high school baseball, and didn't even get to play. I was supposed to play in college. I played one summer tournament before football started. I played at a little tiny NAIA school, but I had a bad knee injury my senior year in high school and another one my freshman year in college, and that was the end of my sports playing days. So, I like seeing different styles of fisheries, rivers, tides, or highland and swamp. Yeah, I mean, that I'm good with, but like, okay, if we want to go to a tidal fishery, let's go to one where we can catch them. Like, let's go to one where we can catch 25, 30 pounds, not one where we can catch 12 pounds. Like, I didn't watch any of Lake Martin. And listen, I'm as big a fan of Pake South as you'll find on this earth, right? Like, I really am. And he was in the top 10 for the first time. I followed the weights. I ain't watching that, dude. Like, I don't want to watch you catch 2-pounders. Like, it's just, for me, the fan I am, that's not, and that's okay. There's other people that may like it, whatever. I know the Lake Martin locals like it, but, like, I think on a big scalable way, most people want to see big fish get caught. They want to see slugfest. Like, we all want to see 2008 Lake Falcon, right? Like, who didn't want to watch that? Who in here, raise your hand if you didn't go back and watch that again. Like, if you haven't watched it since 2008, I've watched it a dozen times. It's amazing. Best starter bass boat for a 23-year-old, only available to fish 1 to 2 days on Fork. Wait, only available to fish 1 to 2 days, like 1 to 2 days a week? I mean, that just depends on your budget. Like, it depends on your budget. So, a couple different ways. Like, if you're going really old and trying to go cheap as you can, the old champion holes are like the best holes out there. Like, those are the best holes for old, like 18-foot. Like, if you want to go buy the cheapest boat you can, find you a like turn of the century. It's crazy to say that, but like a 20-something-year-old, like early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere in there, 25-year-old boat. That's crazy to say that's that long ago, but like that era of champion, that hull was the best. Now you're gonna have constant maintenance issues on a motor, most likely. That's that old, right? That's gonna be the reality of getting a boat that cheap. You're gonna have. I've been there, brother. I've been there. I've been there in like 2011, 12, somewhere in there. I had a 93 model Pro Gator with an old Mercury Mariner on it. It's going to be issues with the motor when you get one that old. But if you want to go cheap, that's the way to do it. Now, if you've got money, if you've got a good job, and you can finance a boat, the best thing you can do, that's the best thing you can do in boat ownership, money-wise, for everybody, be the second owner on a boat like that. If you're the second owner, the warranty can roll over. And what you do is you search around, you find a boat that's been used by a guide, by a tournament fisherman. Sometimes you can find a demo boat that hasn't been used by anybody. It's just been a show boat at tournaments or something like that. My first guide boat was one of those. It was a demo boat that was at tournaments, and they gave, rides to people, test rides to people in it, stuff like that. It had 5 hours on it. But find a really good price on a boat like that was a demo boat or a pro's boat or guides. Get the warranty to transfer over, extend the warranty, and you basically rent that boat. And a year before the warranty's out or half a year before the warranty's out, you sell it and you get out from under it. And usually if you get a good price on it, you can basically rent the boat. So you can run it for 2 or 3 years or whatever. And then when you sell it, you don't lose money. You get out, you're able to get at least what you owe on it when you sell it. Now, what that does is eliminates all issues on anything breaking down because you got warranty. So something breaks in that motor, something goes bad, warranty covers it. It's either warranty or if you hit something, it's insurance. So you limit your cost, your maintenance cost, because you can look at it one of two ways. You can pay $700 or $800 a month, okay, for 2 years, right? Which is a lot, right? Like that's a lot of money, right? I get it. Or you can pay $5,000 or $6,000 for a boat and then spend $2,000 or $2,000 to $5,000 every year to fix it. like that's what it was back then for me. It seemed like I was paying like $1,500, $2,000 like every year. And I didn't keep it. It didn't stay around very long. So, you know, do you want the higher payment or do you want to get one you can afford now and then pay to fix it? I recommend going the route with warranty, rent the boat, sell it, get out from under it. Every once in a while, you'll get a really good deal on one. And when you sell it, you'll actually turn a little profit. You can dump that into your next one. That's just a way. And you get to have the nicest, newest stuff that way, too. So I know that's not what Dave Ramsey would recommend. But from a boat use perspective, things are always breaking. Even on new ones, I will say I haven't had any issues out of that one. Like that one, I have not had anything fixed on that. I did recently. I had an impeller idling around on floor in the low water all year. I managed to bump enough stumps that I got little wood shavings up in my impeller and clogged my impeller. I had to replace the impeller. That's the only thing I've ever had go wrong on that one. And that deal, because I was hitting stuff doing it, would have been an insurance claim, and it was so cheap to fix that it wasn't worth filing an insurance claim. It's just the new impeller. It's a couple $100. So that's the deal, man. It ain't cheap, brother. Like, I don't know if you've been in this game before. You said you're 23, so this is going to be your first boat. Just to understand this, man, like, this is not the financially responsible thing to do as a 23-year-old or as a 43-year-old, which I am. This is not, it's not the financially responsible hobby to have, okay? This is an addiction you can't live without, or you should not do this. You should start playing golf or something. Like, it's just, financially, bass fishing is not good. It's not good. I managed to find a way to make some money doing it, so it worked out for me, I guess. Like, that's literally like the first new boat that I had was my first guide boat. Yeah, it was the first new boat I ever had. It was the first when I started guiding. So, I still wouldn't have a new. I'm sitting here tell you that I don't think I would have a new. I think I'd be rolling some old beat up thing right now that I could barely afford to fix if I wasn't guiding. So there's a lot of guys that do it. I don't know how they do it, man. Like some of these guys, I know them and like, man, they're just, they're mortgaged to the hilt on these rigs, dude. Like, I don't know how some of you guys do it. Bottom Line Outdoors said I got a Champion and repowered it and updated the trolling motor. Yeah, that's a good rig. Yeah, if you can afford it. Now, new motors are expensive. But yeah, like if you can afford to do that, get a Champion hull and put a new motor on it, update all the electronics and trolling motor stuff. I mean, but by the time you get trolling motor, electronics, let's see, one at the console and just one live scope at the front, right? Just two graphs. You're looking at the trolling motor electronics are going to be $15,000 to $20,000 for the new stuff. And a motor is going to be, even on a smaller boat, a motor is going to be like at least $20,000, I think. So now you just spent $35,000, $40,000 updating a boat. You probably spent, a few thousand on the hull. Like, bro, just go finance 60 and get a second owner boat like I'm talking about. Like, it's the same thing. Yeah, if you want power poles, add another $5,000. Yeah, it's freaking ridiculous, man. Like, literally, if you want to have a boat, that's the thing. If you go get the new one, if you go get the second owner boat, right? Like, you got all that stuff. You got all the electronics. You got a new motor. You got all new power poles. Or I used Raptors. Couldn't remember what they were called. Minn Kota Raptors, the ones I picked. But you get new sticks, new graphs, new motor. Finance a new one, yeah, $60,000, $70,000 is crazy. But understand this: if you do it like I'm telling you, you're not paying $70,000. You're renting it for 2 years, and then getting out from under, and then you're doing it again. And then if you don't want to, you don't have to. I can't tell you how many guys I've seen start in the guide business and they'll have a decently new boat and they're living and they got a truck that is paid off and it's old and beat up. And I mean, I don't think it's paid off. I got an old beat up paid off truck out there right now, but I bought it new at 18, but it's paid off and getting kind of old and beat up now. It's 8 years old, but they're living in a, older RV trailer on the lake, and they got an older truck that's a little banged up, and they got a boat. And the cost of, they don't have a warranty on that boat. They're just spinning their wheels guiding. Like they can't hardly make enough to get ahead, especially in the beginning when you're not getting a ton of trips. I've seen it plenty of times. It's very expensive. People see these guide fees and they think we're making a lot of money. And if you're running 200 trips a year, which is as full as anybody ever gets, you're turning a good amount of revenue. If you're charging 600 a day, 200 trips, which not very many people will do that. It's 120,000, right? Well, you probably take about 40 of that away. Like, legit, between all your expenses, like insurance, boat payment, gas, tackle, like it's probably at least 40,000 a year. Which 80,000 ain't bad, but you got to keep, that's the best. That's the busiest guy. Like the best is making, the dude working the hardest and being the most successful is making like 80 grand. Which isn't bad. It's not bad, but these days, y'all know. And when I started, we were all charging 400 a day, making 80 grand a year, clearing 50. Yeah. It's not a money-making business. Like you ain't just rolling in the dough guiding. Holy crap, we've been on here a long time. I've kind of just kept rambling and talking. Y'all done a great job with the questions tonight. Thank y'all so much. Y'all kept me going a long time. I do need to probably cut this thing off at some point because it has got to be post 10 o'clock. And I got to go to a guide trip in the morning. If my customer's watching this, he's like, boy, you need to go off here and go to bed so we can catch them. And I do need to go to bed so we can catch them. Man, thank you guys for hanging out with us and joining us. Cheers. Appreciate y'all. YouTube crowd was really big tonight. Facebook, what are you doing? Facebook, you let YouTube whoop you. Y'all better start sharing this and telling all your friends on Facebook so YouTube don't whoop you. We got 85,000 people in Facebook, right? 82,000 people in Facebook right now. What y'all doing on Facebook? I mean, on YouTube. What's Facebook doing? I'm just kidding. It's not 82,000. That'd be pretty cool. But it's not. But it's good enough for me, folks. I don't need all of you. I just need the ones that want to be here. And I appreciate you. And we'll see you next time right here and right here on your Lake Fork Guide.